Take that, mental illness. Hello my friends, and welcome to Youth Potential, a place where we talk about all sorts of things related to mental health. Whether you feel good or whether you feel meh, this place is for you. Also, I've got an Instagram account, please go and check that out. Hello my friend, Scott here representing Youth Potential. Today we're going to talk about depression. Depression is something that affects many of us, especially those of you that have been following the channel for some time, or even people that have just joined. Yeah, it affects a lot of us. But I think sometimes we overlook that a little bit and just kind of put ourselves in this category of, oh, a lot of people get depressed, and then we kind of ignore our own emotions. But the thing that I mostly wanted to talk about today when it comes to depression is that there comes a time when you are someone who lives with depression, whether you've been diagnosed or not, there comes a time where we kind of obsess over one thing. I think when we're generally depressed, it's easy for us to kind of think, oh yeah, that's making me depressed, yep, this, that and the other's making me depressed. And you feel low, but it's a kind of general thing. There's like little things that are kind of bothersome. But as I say, the thing that I want to talk about is when something that we kind of draw all of our attention to, something that we really, really focus on, that one thing that's really bringing us down more than anything else, kind of everything else just kind of falls by the wayside. We don't really pay attention to anything else, but we become obsessed with one thing that's either happened or is due to happen or is happening at the present time, and we obsess over it. We go to bed with it, we wake up in the morning with it. It follows us around all day long, and when we're in the thick of it, we feel like we can't escape. Yeah, I think for me, one thing that has bothered me that much recently was when I was really struggling in my previous job. I was going into work and I wasn't feeling particularly good about it. I wasn't feeling particularly good whilst I was there. I felt better when I came away from it, obviously. But in my own time, I would be worrying about the fact that I would have to return to the job. And to sound cliche, you know, it was that dark cloud that was looming over me whilst I was in that job. And it was a real struggle. I felt like I wasn't working towards my purpose. I felt like it was going against everything that I considered to be a good thing. Yeah, okay, I was earning money, but I wasn't particularly happy. And that was this one thing that I was obsessing over. I just couldn't shake off the idea of this job that I spent so much time in. I just couldn't be happy at all. It was crippling, to say the least. I know it sounds a little bit cliche again, but that's it. I think, as I said earlier on in the video, we overlook depression. We overlook things that we struggle with because I think we generalize depression a lot. And as I've said before, you can't measure your problems against someone else's. You can't say that someone else has got it worse or you've got it worse. You have to be a bit more diplomatic than that and just kind of, you know, if it affects you, it affects you, and that's all that matters. Going back to this whole obsessing over one thing when you're experiencing sort of intense depression, perhaps you've had a similar experience where you've felt like you're stuck in something and you just can't get out of it and it's binding you day in, day out. Perhaps you've felt like that. And that's quite common. It's normal. Sorry, I was just changing the paper there of my notes. If you get into that state of, you know, I'm stuck in this routine, or I'm stuck in obsessing with this thing that's going to happen or this thing that has happened, realistically at that point, there's only two things you can do other than just kind of not traumatize yourself, torture yourself with the obsession. There's two things you can do, and it all depends on the circumstance. The first thing that you can do, and it's not going to be easy, is you can do something about it. You can change the circumstance, and that's what I did with my job. I wasn't enjoying my job, and I had to change something about my life. I had to change my routine. I couldn't do that anymore. It was bringing me down so much, back to the point of wanting to self-harm. You know, that's not a good place for me to be in. So I had to do something about it. But as I say, you can't always do something about it, and we'll touch on that again in a second. So the other thing that you can do, if you don't want to do something about it or can't do something about it, is learn to accept it. Okay? Neither of those things are going to be easy, right? Doing something about it or learning to accept it, neither of those things are going to be easy to apply, all right? You're faced with whatever it is that's bringing you down, it's dominating your consciousness, it's taking over your life, and you can't get it out of your mind. So doing something or learning to accept it, that's what's going to make the big change for you. That's what's going to start shifting that drowning feeling, that choking feeling, that feeling of darkness surrounding you. Because indecision is what leads to more and more emotional agony. So you've got to do something or learn to accept it. And as I say, you can't always do something directly to change the circumstance. You know, there are definitely things that bring us down that we can't change. All right, it's happened in the past, for example. And we can't physically change the past. We can't improve something. So as I say, the best thing that you can do is try and learn to accept and adapt to it. It's going to take some time. It's not going to be easy, but you know, feeling low from time to time is normal. But honestly, you don't have to let it haunt you day in and day out. You don't have to. Okay, it's going to take time. Perhaps something has happened recently, something really, really unfavorable, really unpleasant, and you can't change it. It's going to take some time to learn to accept it, all right? It's going to take time to heal. And again, as I've said earlier, it sounds cliche, but time is the healer here, okay? It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to fully heal from it, like you're going to fully recover from some trauma, for example, but you can learn to kind of deal with it a little bit better as time goes on. If the option is there to do something about it, honestly, I urge you to do so. It's not going to be easy. You might have to get the help of people, but doing something about it when you can, something, you know, realistically safe and doesn't harm anybody, if you can do something within those boundaries, you're going to be a lot better for it. But again, when you are ready, okay? Okay, so that's my approach to a certain specific part of depression that I wanted to talk about today. I hope that you guys can relate to that. I actually filled out the last page in my notebook doing this. It's the very last page. So I get to start a new notebook for new videos. Anyway, thanks for watching. All the best. Take care, everyone. Bye.